and welcome to UK Versus. Today we're going to be taking a look at the organised play Store Championship promos that have been announced, and they are Tekken 8 character cards. We have with us, as always, our Tekken Expert, Apple, and I am always joined by Richard, and we're looking at these beautifully aesthetic cards. And where would you like to start?
Let's start with Paul.
Start with Paul, okay.
Yeah.
So we have Paul Phoenix, 6-hander, 29 health brawler on the all fire and order symbols with discard one card. This attack gains stun 2, and once per turn, your kick or punch attack gets +1 damage for each of your committed rival foundations. That is just insane. I thought we banned one with nature.
Obviously, it's not quite one with nature. You know, stun 2 does cap out eventually. A card is a cost, but fire has plenty of replace itself stuff now, right? In terms of when you discard it, so can make that sort of effectively free. Kicks and punches, obviously we're getting a whole bunch of those in those flash decks, and you know, Order's got plenty of kicks at the moment and I think punches as well. So turning one of them into a pseudo 1.3 million is pretty good. Just at the end of a string. Obviously no defense, but he is a very, very aggressive character. He looks very good just on face.
What's your thoughts, Apple?
I feel like he's born to melt 7-handers by getting rid of all the resources and then just putting one bomb attack out. The fact that his effects are essentially, like you said, you've got like a pseudo 1 with nature and then a pseudo 1.3 million volts on his face. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think Paul Phoenix is possibly one of the most competitive out of the four. And as Richie pointed out, with things like Wish Hard, when you discard it, you just get to replace it, as well as a lot of cards on Order, Fire, and all that let you draw. I think
so I think Wish Hard isn't a punch or kick, but still.
But you know, you're never playing it. It's just there to replace itself for your other attacks.
Sure, sometimes obviously you need to, but like, you know, there's the Foundation that does the same thing. There's other cards where it's like, you know, you discard this, remove it, get +2 damage or -2 damage or whatever. So you know, there's plenty of stuff that you can get benefit out of discarding. Like you've still got Lust for Battle, so effectively getting sort of pseudo 3 speed off that ability, right? So stun 2 and then -1 to the next check.
Then we'll move on to Martial Law. 7-hand, 19 health. Response: after your rival commits 1 or more foundations during the enhanced step, this attack gets +1 or -1 speed. In response: after you commit 1 or more foundations during enhanced step, this attack gets minus or +1 damage. That is huge. This is Kurabara.
Okay. Obviously they need to be committing during the enhanced step, so obviously not planning for checks or anything. You know, obviously works very well with stun. Obviously he works very well with just stuff that commits 4 abilities on your turn. He's a bit flimsy as a 7-19, right? But does have a reasonable amount of either speed control or damage control if you need it. But you know, you're not often going to get the minus speed because your opponent is not playing into it.
If you get nice tried, it's a -1 essentially rather than a -2.
Yeah, like exactly. Yeah, so like it's fine. Yeah, all your opponents commit for minus speed things just get a bit worse, right?
How are you feeling, Apple?
Like Richard said, all your committal buffs are getting better. All your opponents' committal deal speeds get worse. I feel like in the hands of like really good players, like they'll be so difficult to map out against them because you're going to have so many interactions. I think he's fantastic. He's got a defense on face and he can flip to offense as well. He's got the right committal stuff in his staging area.
That's fair. And as we saw with Paul Phoenix, these cards are just gorgeous. They're aesthetically pleasing. These are the kind of cards that will draw people into events to play as promos.
Yeah, I'm not blown away as him as like I think Paul is the better of the two. I think he's probably decent but not crazy.
Then we have Ling Xiao Yu. I hope I'm saying that right. 7-hand, 20 health. Enhanced. Your attack gets +1 damage for each different block zone on cards in your card pool. Once per turn, if you have 3 different block zones on cards in your card pool, clear 2 cards from your card pool and draw a card.
I mean, I'm going to constantly refer to her as Ling Ojiro because it's sort of baby Ojiro too, right? It's 7-hand.
Attack zone.
Yeah, sure. It's not exactly the same text, sure, but it's basically the same thing. Obviously, they've gone with the sort of pseudo fixed version of it's only damage, so it's not ramping speed as well. It's not ramping sort of mirrored stats, which was one of the problems with Ojiro 2. Don't know, does she share symbols with Student of the Art?
All?
Yeah, so you could play Student. Obviously, it's counted towards progressive, but you could in theory do that thing.
For me, it's her defensive ability. This is kind of defensive ability I want to see in a 7-hander because if you've got 3 different block zones in your card pool on your opponent's turn, you reduce your progressive for blocking and draw an additional card card. That's a great defensive ability.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be awkward to pull off sometimes with the 3 different block zones on defense, right? And obviously, you're going to need to play a decent spread on your attack, similar to how Sorojiro did. Even if you're, again, just getting +2 on everything, like, that's fine in terms of like the damage. It feels like a very modest version of what Ojiro 2, but Ojiro 2 is one of the most impressive characters we've ever had. So, and importantly, you're clearing 2 cards, so that's 1 more than Ojiro was, but you're not lifting a guaranteed attack to your hand. Slightly worse, like, drawing a card is worse than just lifting an attack. It sort of feels like a fixed Ojiro 2 that I think is probably going to be totally fine and not crazy.
If we get back to a more even meta of mixed block zones, she could be very powerful. I just think she doesn't really do much against the current meta of high string 4 check attacks. We have the last card, the most aesthetically pleasing of them, with the big horns, the wings, and the sexy abs. We have Devil Jin, with the 5-hand, 35 health response once per turn after you check an attack. Add it to your card pool and draw a card. Your check gets +1 for each attack in your card pool. And enhance. Add 1 attack from your discard pile to your card pool. Your attack gets +1 damage for each attack in your card pool. You may change the zone's attack to the zone of the added attack on Chaos, Evil, and Fire. And we could see this could just generally be another Mature 59.
Another what? Sorry.
Mature 59 was a character in Retro, from what I'm told, where you just ran 59 attacks and the character mature because all you needed was attacks to kill. And if you, with all the free check attacks that are floating around, Jin could do some serious damage with them.
See, the response only being 1 per turn, right? Not ideal for doing that, for flinging multiples, right? I think he's like a bit of a brewer's kind of swimming pool, right? It's not obvious how you're going to necessarily get him to work and get the most out of what's going on, but it's like, it's sort of someone to sit down and sort of brew and sort of work with what he's got going on to make that a thing and sort of set up combos, right?
I'm just waiting for the stream game that's going to happen where a person is going in for the kill against Devil Jin. They've got like 3 attacks in their card pool, and their opponent's like, you need to check a 5 to pass this, and they go to block and they check an attack and they go, I win. And you just go, respond, Devil Jin, I'll add it to my card pool, get all this plus to my check. Oh yeah, that's a defensive ability as well.
Yeah.
Enhanced is also defensive to be able to change zones as well.
Yeah, you get to change zones so you can fully block it.
Yeah. I mean, you're giving them +1 speed.
It's like 100%. I can guarantee someone's going to solve the formula for this, and you're going to see it at regional playing 4-dimensional chess. Someone's going to show up with
4-dimensional chess or 4-check chess.
Oh, at the same time.
Yeah, like, again, he's not obvious in terms of how he works, right? The previous one, it's like, okay, I'm going to play a split of different block zones, I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to be aggressive, blah, 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 blah. This one isn't necessarily obvious how it's going to work. You want maybe things like that, whatever the 7 diff that says all your attacks get +2 damage or whatever with the static, you want things like that are, that you want to be adding to your card pool with that enhance. So it's, it's trying to find ways to solve that puzzle that way to make him work. I think sort of he's probably the worst of the 4, if only just because he's not necessarily obvious how you sort of get him to do the thing in terms of actually being sort of competitive. Like, I think Paul is probably the most obviously competitive one, just because, snack time was pretty good and 1.3 million was pretty good. But at the same time, like, Shoto 2, I think it was 3, had 1.3 on face and didn't do anything.
For me, Devil Jin would be great, but we've been spoiled by Battle for Humanity on all these 6-handers that have the similar, if not greater, health totals that do more. So for me, it's like, this is really cool. And if Devil Jin was a 6-hander, I'd be all in to try and break this and crack the code, as Apple was saying. But as a 5-hander, I can look at Attack on Titan and go, I can do similar things with more hand size.
Yeah, like martial law feels a bit almost edge shot adjacent in that it's cool, it's powerful, it's good, but it doesn't quite get there.
From a lore perspective, how are you feeling about Devil Jin, Apple? How is this look? How is these abilities? How does it settle into how you see Devil Jin?
I mean, I'd have never called anything like this. I'd have seen him as definitely not a hand size 535 health. I really like how he's playing. I don't know sort of how it relates to his fighting style in the game. He does a lot of sort of big, strong attacks. So I guess it sort of ties into that. I'm a big fan of how it comes across. So I actually, he's my favourite character of the 4th, and not just because it's Jin. I like the complexity. I'd probably never play him. I think he's fantastic.
Fair enough. So yeah, these are the 4 characters. We've all got our favourites. As Rich said, he's a big fan of Paul Phoenix. Apple's a big fan of Devil Jin. Where's a big surprise of that?
Phoenix is a sort of obvious big dumb aggro.
Yeah.
Ling Xiao is sort of, or Xiao Yu, sorry, is like I say, Baby Yoda 2. Martial Law is probably the least exciting from my perspective. Devil Jin is just like a puzzle someone needs to be solved. But like, they're all cool options to have in the format. Obviously, go and support your RGSs, go play at their store championships, win these cards. If you don't worry, they'll be on redemption, so you can always get your copies of them.
Yeah, the easiest way to get these quickly, and especially in time for regionals, as they will be legal at regionals, is to play in your Star Championships that will be happening at the start to the end of October. And when you win, you'll get these, but they will go up for redemption, I believe, in November, but that'll be after regional season. So if you are interested in nuking people as Paul Phoenix, go to UGN, look up events and find where your local Star Championships are going to be, and go beat up some locals and grab yourself a Paul Phoenix. Any final words from you, Apple?
I just think the cards are gorgeous. This is standard promos need to be at.
Yeah, this is 100% what all promos should use as their baseline now. If it doesn't look as good as this, back to the drawing board and get us a better promo. We'll wrap it up there. For people on YouTube, hit that bell and subscribe. Keep in touch with all our information. And thanks to UVS for giving us these. But at the point of recording, these haven't even been announced as prizes for Store Championships outside of the stores. This is absolutely huge that we get to see these first. Thanks to Richard and Apple for being here. I will catch you all on the next one.
Yeah, and if you want to come win them, we'll be having a Store Championship down at Hastings Board Game Cafe Museum. Come down and play and try and keep them out of my hands.
Bye.
Bye.